Hello and welcome to the second episode of Running Cooked. So follow up from last week, and what I'm going to do this week is look at my running. So it's nice and easy to kick us off, or at least it feels easy anyway. So we're looking at my running and my 100-mile week and how I break that down. So how it looks in the week, what sort of running I do, what type of running I do, and why I do that, and I'll try and give you some context into that later on in the videos that I've filmed. So a big part of what I do is I run every day, and I have run every day since the 30th of November 2015, so quite a while. I'll be approaching 6 years in 8 months, so it is quite a while that I've been running. It's not a record. There is people that's been running a lot longer than me. Ron Hill, probably the most famous British athlete to have done so. So just a little bit of background as to why I do choose to run every day. And it started so in 2015, approaching throughout the summer. I was running every day anyway, and it came to the 29th of November 2015, so the day before my streak started, and my last day off. And the last day off that I had, I was laid in the bed, listening to the wind batter on the window, throwing up in a bucket, didn't feel well at all, and it was actually the Barnsley 10k that day, and I missed it because I couldn't run. It wouldn't have been sensible for me to run the race, but I could have still gone out in hindsight and actually run a mile and run the distance. But it was my last day off, and ever since that I said to myself, right, that's it now, I'm not having a day off, I want to get better. And how can I get better? By laying in my bed throwing up. And when I felt absolutely at my lowest physically and I was drained, I knew that I could still get out and get it done. And it's a sort of mentality that I've developed over time. And the next day I went out and I ran, I think it was 5 mile out on the streets on Broadway and back. And I ran 5 mile and I recovered from my illness, and it felt like I'd recovered quicker from my illness, to say the day before I was in bed. And ever since that I've run injured. I've run with when I've pulled my hamstrings, I've run when I've been sick. I've had people run with me alongside me because I've been that poorly that day, with whether it's a sickness bug, a cold, I've had chest infections, but I've had people run alongside me and support me through them illness runs, as you could call it, whether it's just been a mile running up and around Lock Park, or running a mile out and back, keeping it flat on Broadway, just to get through it and keep my streak going. But it's a sort of mentality that I've developed where I choose not to have a day off, and it is a choice, and I choose to still go out and just run, whether it is at 5-minute mile pace or whether it is at 10-minute mile pace, it still counts as a run. So then I know when the going gets tough in a race, I've done something a lot harder. So I've run with a chest infection, I've run when I've had a sickness bug and I've not eaten anything for the full day, or I've had the shakes and I've not been able to keep my body temperature down, and I've still gone out and run every day since the 30th of November 2015. And it's just a piece of me that I carry, and I do wear that badge, and it feels like a badge of honour at times, because in my head, mentally, I know that I'm stronger than that, because I can still go out and run, even when I'm feeling at my absolute weakness. And running has got me through a lot of things, and it'll continue to get me through a lot of things. And for that, I'm grateful for the ability to put one foot in front of the other, day after day, day after day. Whether it is on a treadmill, on the streets, on the trails, on the fells, on the fields, on a track, it still mentally it keeps me going, it makes me feel strong. But recently, I have figured out it is about being smart with it. So up until probably August last year, I had the philosophy that to get faster, you've got to run faster, and every single run was just about running faster than the last, or trying to anyway. So it was a simple philosophy when it came to my training, where I had to run faster to get faster. And I very rarely took a recovery run, basically because I'd forgot how to do it. I'd got myself stuck in a bit of a rut with it, and I wasn't taking recovery runs. I wasn't running slower, but variety is the spice of life, and I was just training at one speed all the time. And I'm still getting over that, and I'm still working my way through that, and it is a process. And if you want to Google it, it's something called zone 3 syndrome. So it's where you're constantly training in your heart rate zone 3, instead of your zone 1s and 2s or your zone 4s and 5s. So you're constantly getting your body used to running at one heart rate, which isn't good for you really, because then your body can't push it beyond zone 3 because you're too tired and your legs can't hack it, or your body struggles to run at zone 1 and 2. And to begin with, when I first started doing it a little bit, my body did struggle to slow down, and mentally I thought I'd be a little bit tortured trying to slow down into zone 1 and 2 heart rates. But as of lately, it's about I've figured out it's about getting the most out of me. So if I run at zone 1 and 2, I've found that when I'm racing or when I'm trying to run fast, I can get the most out of me because I've recovered properly and better. So then I can get my zone 4 and zone 5s in, which is achievable, and I know that I'm more than capable because in races I've shown that to myself, even though I believe that I've got plenty more to give. And it also, with the zone 1 and 2 running, because you're running slower, you get the more time on foot. So Stormy Norman at Parkrun, I once spoke to him, well I used to speak to him quite a lot actually, and he once said to me, I was talking about his training, and he once said to me about his training, and I told him my training, said how much I run, what I do, where I go. And then he said, I'll run a couple of times a week, but then wife walks me around Morrison's, she'll walk me around the supermarket, I'll do a bit of gardening. And he counted it all as part of his training because he was looking at the bigger picture and he was thinking about time on foot. So the amount of time that he actually spent on his feet in a day. And that's what it's all about. So if I'm, as a runner, running longer in zone 1 and 2, I'm getting more time on my feet. So then in a marathon I've got the endurance because I'm used to being on my feet. If I'm running in zone 2 in the morning, and my job, fortunately I can play football at work with a group of kids, so if I'm running zone 2 in the morning, doing PE, playing football, doing after school clubs, doing evening sessions, all day on my feet, and then running zone 2 in the evening, I've got a full 12 hours, 14 hours worth of training there that I've done and got through the day with. And it's about looking at that as your wider training. So your recovery is your time at work when you're on your feet, whether it is taking an active lunch or having an active break or making sure that you stood up at a desk if you've got an office job. And it is about trying to change your lifestyle to meet that. And I learnt that from Stormy Norman, where he said to me about all of this years ago when I first started streaking at Parkrun and talking to him at Parkrun and having little snippets of information. And all the way through running, and it'll be the same for you as well, you'll pick up snippets of information and you'll choose to listen to some people and you'll probably choose to not to listen to others. But it's these snippets of information that you'll pick up through life that educate you as well. And it is about having that lifestyle change. So if you've got the ability to run to work and run back, easy miles, you can get them in. You can do it with a bag on your back and get a bit of strength training as well. If you've got the ability to run in the morning and in the night, you get them in, and you can have your recovery in between, or you can have your active working days. So an active meeting at work is class, and we'll do them every now and then where we have a walk. So I work at Barnsley Football Club, have a walk around the ground and outside the ground whilst we're having a chat and having a meeting, which helps as well. And it's all about just having practice makes perfect. So you can't get good at something if you're not doing it, and you can't get better at something without practicing. And I mention it later on in the videos, that it should come naturally to practice and practice and practice, and have that drive to pick up your guitar and practice, or have that drive to sit down at your piano and practice, because you can't get better at doing your skill without practicing. And there's a book that I read at university, and it said about you need 10,000 hours to be a master at something. So if you figure out 10,000 hours to be a master at something, it's a lot of practicing. And in one running week, I try to fit in 12 hours worth of running. But then it's all the other stuff as well. Time on foot, being up at work, where I can boost that practicing time. So I can get used to being on my feet when I'm absolutely tired and drained. And I know mentally that I can still do it. And I know mentally that I've run in worse conditions, or I've run feeling worse. And it's about just practicing and practicing and practicing. So my quote for this week before I go on further in the video. So the book that I spoke about 10,000 hours of practice, is The Talent Code. So it is one of my favourite books. And on the front it says, "Greatness isn't born, it's grown," which is a favourite quote of mine, and it's simply on the front cover. And then on the back, on the blurb, "Talent, you've either got it or you haven't." Not true, actually. So talent, I'm a big believer that talent is a myth, and hard work does in fact beat talent. And then people add on to it when talent doesn't work hard. But I don't believe in talent. I believe that people have worked to get where they are, and that's what it's all about. So the more work you do, the better you'll get at it, and then ultimately you'll achieve your goals. Right, the rest of the video then in Running Cut today. So following me speaking now, I've got Charlie Skipper. He's going to be talking to you about some nutrition questions. If you have got any questions for Charlie in future weeks, post them in the comments below. As well, if there's anything that you'd like me to actually speak about, and any suggestions or anything like that, obviously post that in the comments below as well. And then further in the video, so after Charlie spoke, I'm going to be talking about each one of my runs that I've done this week. So they are quite lengthy, but after every single run, or once during the run, I've recorded my thoughts about the run and gave a little bit of snippet or information on that particular run. If you do want to watch, obviously, watch along and see what it's all about. And you'll see how I've brought down my working week when it comes to running. Other than that, thanks for watching Running Cut. And now I'm going to hand over to Charlie.
Hey, my name's Charlie Skipper. I have a degree in nutrition, and I'm here to answer some of your questions regarding running and sports nutrition. So, question 1. Why am I always hungry? Good question, big question. First, important to note that your body can't differentiate between hunger and thirst, so you can start by drinking more water every day. It's recommended that you get 3 litres daily. Also important to note that coffee actually dehydrates you. And if you are getting enough water, something you can try is increasing your dietary fibre. The DRV, which is what the government recommends, is 30 grams daily, and you can get this through whole grains, legumes, and nuts. Next question. How should I fuel for long runs? It's a tricky one, this, and a lot of the time it comes down to personal preference. We're all aware of gels and sports drinks, and most get along fine using those for the longer distance runs like half marathons and marathons. There are a couple of tricks to this one. Technically, your body stores about 2,000 calories of energy in carbohydrates anyway, so you can get around 90 minutes without having to fuel anything. And beyond that, you can trick your body into dumping its glycogen stores by sucking something sweet, which is really good because you don't actually have to swallow it, and that can help avoid stomach distresses. That leads us quite nicely onto our next question, which is, how can I avoid stomachache when running? Big one is practice, practice, practice. Make sure when it comes to race day, it's not the first time that you've tried out your race fueling strategy. Go out on your long run, take your gels, take your drinks, eat what you're going to eat before the race. Definitely avoid milk, rich foods such as like red meats and things like that before you run, and obviously spicy foods. Another big one which I've fallen for as well is check the use by date on your gels. Another big question here to do with caffeine, and is it any good for sports performance? One of my lecturers actually did a study on this. It was a double-blind study done at Sheffield Hallam University with park runners, and it has actually been shown to increase sports performance, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I mentioned earlier that caffeine does actually, it's a diuretic and dehydrates you. As well as that, it increases colonic emptying, and if you're not sure that means, it means you could be running towards the toilet rather than the finishing line. Final question, and it's to do with recovery foods and what you should be eating to try and recover better from your runs. It's a really big topic, this, so I want to keep it brief. After hard sessions, you want to be getting some carbohydrates in, sports drinks, as soon as you finish. You have a period about 20 minutes long after you finish an exercise where you can rapidly replenish glycogen. So quick, get it in fast. Secondly, you want to be having a protein-rich meal at some point during the day. It doesn't have to be immediately after. Just get one in. Awesome. I hope that provided you with some answers. If you want any more questions answering, leave them in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed the video.
So thanks to Charlie for his input there. So like he mentioned, if you have got any questions for Charlie or any questions or suggestions for me, post them in the comments below. Now I'm going to be speaking about my 100 mile week. So it'll be a breakdown after every single run, just telling you about my 100 mile week. I'll be telling you a little about routes, splits and all that sort of stuff. I'll go into a little bit about heart rate and the type of running that I've done in that sort of run in that session. So I hope you enjoy, and now onto my 100 mile week. So just on the top, probably my favourite point in Barnsley. I've just done 18 mile with Gary Briscoe for my Sunday run. Did it in about 1 hour and 48. Worked out at 6:02 pace. Definitely wasn't flat. If you know leg 9, it took in a little bit of leg 9 sort of profile, running from his house at Penistone up to Winscar Reservoir and then falling back down on the Transpennine Trail. Was actually quite a good run. Started off a little bit with stitch, and then because I'd eaten pasta mistakenly an hour before we went out, and then just kind of got through it. We was close to breaking 6 for the 18, and Gary was trying to break 6, and I kept trying to rein him back in, and then it just got to it, and I looked at him and went, "You effing, we're going to have to do it." And then it got a mile out and realised it were all uphill to his house, but we did put it in, and it was quite a good effort. Enjoyed it for an 18 mile Sunday long run. Other than that, if you want to have a look at the view. Just done 8.5 mile with David Hanks. Brought me for my Monday morning recovery run. He might tell you a little bit different. Come to Royston. He picked me up and we came through to Royston just to run a little bit, run somewhere different, and we've run on the trails all the way to Newmiller Dam and back. Managed to get 8.5 mile out of it. Nice, enjoyable Monday morning recovery run. So another one of my favourite views in Barnsley. So this is back of Kingston School, the school that I used to go to. Used to walk on here loads of times, play football on the field that's just over there. So just out for a 6.5 mile with the brother and his girlfriend, so James and Shannon. They've come on the bikes. There's a Run Fat Boy Run bike style pacer, and I'm doing my 6.5 mile. Currently on about mile 5 in 31 minutes roughly, so not a bad little bit of a run. I'll do a bit of a 1.5 mile cool down now to get home on the rest of the field, and then straight down home. Easy enough. Well, that's Tuesday morning's run done. 10.3 mile, pretty enjoyable. Nice, lovely, bit of a crisp morning when I started off, but it's turned out to be quite a nice day. Averaged about 6 minute miles, was meant to be a steady run. Probably a big failure of mine, a big weakness is struggling to slow down on runs, and that's why I enjoy running with Dave so much. Heart rate averaged about 148, 150. I am mindful of it, but I don't focus on heart rate. But this morning, just obviously I couldn't slow down. I was a bit pushed for time. Got a work meeting at 9 o'clock. I bumped into Michael Slack on the way home. Probably ran about half a mile with him. Just had a bit of a chat, which is always the beauty of running in town. And you always bump into people that you know, and you can enjoy sharing a few miles with them where it's due. Other than that, an enjoyable 10.3 mile for Tuesday morning's run. Tuesday night, 5 mile are done. Done it in in 33 minutes. Felt much more comfortable than this morning. So my heart rate was considerably lower, and the pace as well was a little bit quicker. So what a difference 12 hours makes. Managed to chuck a couple of strides in there as well in the last couple of miles. So that's where you have a burst of energy for 15-20 seconds, burst of speed, and then recover, and then you go again for 15-20 seconds. And it's meant to improve your speed and your running economy. Also today I've done a 10k walk this afternoon as well as my run this morning. Got into the habit of walking a couple of times a week with Jack Cadman from work. So it actually means I've done just short of 34,000 steps today. So not a bad day out. Cheers, and on to tomorrow. So a bit windy this morning for the 8 miler on Wednesday. Done it in about 53 minutes. Felt a little bit tired this morning, which is obviously not surprising after the amount of time on foot yesterday. But practice makes perfect, and that's what it's all about. Still got out, got a meeting again at 9 o'clock, but had a little bit more time on my hands this morning, got out a little bit earlier. Enjoyed the 8 miler in the rain for March. On to tonight. Hopefully I'll be doing a little bit of speed work if I get time. Try and get someone to come along and do a little bit of speed work as well. Tonight's run then, a bit of a 7 mile, so I did a 1 mile warm up, and then I did a 5k at pace, and then a 2.5, well I say a 5k, about 3.5 mile really, and then a 2.5 mile crawl home. The 5k pace worked out probably about 5:35 pace, so a little off where I want to be, but given the wind that you can probably tell, most of it was into an headwind, so I'm quite happy with that. Other than that, on to tomorrow. That's Thursday boxed off then. 10 mile done. Didn't really look at the watch, just ran to feel. Had it on the map screen actually. Didn't wear my heart rate monitor either, and in honesty it just felt like an easy, steady away run. Kept it off-road where I could, so ran down to Wrexham Res onto the TPT, well the newly surfaced TPT, with that bouncy tarmac stuff, and that was it really. Had a big climb coming up the Ward Green 6 hill, or the hill that you go down, so Hound Hill, to finish, so that will have slowed me down massively, but enjoyed it even though we had a bit of a headwind for the majority of the route, which you can probably hear now. So on to tonight. Thursday night's recovery run, so 5 miles tonight, nice little leg stretcher. Did a walk this afternoon again with Jack Cadman from work, so 33,000 steps today boxed off. The run actually came out about 7 minute miles, nice and steady away. Wore my On Cloud Stratus, which I feel they're quite an heavy shoe, with not much cushion, even though they're advertised as cushion, and they feel quite firm, but enjoyed the run. I actually wore my heart rate monitor tonight as well, came out at 140 beats a minute. It felt the same sort of effort as this morning, and given the wind it was a full headwind for the first 2.5 mile until I doubled back and came home, but other than that enjoyable, and we've pushed on towards Friday. So once upon a time Friday used to be known as Recovery Friday, so before I started streaking in 2015 and running every day, Friday was my day off, and then it slowly started creeping in where I was doing 5k on a Friday, 10k, and then before I knew it I was just doing more mileage. To me it's important to run every day because practice means perfect, and you can't get better at playing an instrument or kicking a football without actually doing it. So that's why I actually run on a Friday. So this morning I've done a steady 8 mile. Not worried about pace so much, not worried about time. I've just got it done. Still is a bit windy, and there were a little bit of rain, so I wore a rain jacket. So was probably a little bit overdressed, but enjoyed it. And on to another one tonight, just a little leg stretcher. So out for the Friday night recovery 5 miler on a route that I know, let's say, particularly well. Heart rate's floated around 140, nice and easy. Bit of a leg stretcher to shake out the week's mileage. Usually I'll be getting ready for park run and races on a Saturday and Sunday by doing this. Beauty about knowing your routes and your distances like the back of your hand is you know exactly where your watch is going to be, and sometimes it can be a good thing. Nice and easy and just stretching the legs out. On to tomorrow. On to Saturday's mileage then. So finished a 9 miler, 9.2 actually, running out towards KDA and back at Dodworth. I can make the run from 5 mile all the way up to 20 if I want, which I've done before, and it's a route that I know particularly well, and it's not flat and it's not too hilly either. Came out just around the hour, so nice and easy, getting the legs out. 6 30-minute miles. Wore the heart rate monitor, but it actually gave me a 190 beats a minute average, so I think there might be something wrong with my heart rate monitor today. It does do that every now and then. Managed to get stopped by a Just Eat delivery driver. He got lost and were looking for Dodworth Retail and Business Park. Couldn't find it where it was, and then straight after that had a nosebleed. So for the last 5 mile of my run I had a nosebleed, so I've managed to get all my sleeve covered in blood, and a little bit on the bottom of my jumper. But other than that, a good run, and then on to a 4 mile leg stretcher later today. So that's that then, 1 week's worth of running. I've clocked 4 mile tonight, done it in about 26 minutes, in the rain as well. Makes you feel a little bit more hardcore when you're running in the rain, but there's no better feeling than actually running in the rain. I've clocked 105 mile for the week. I can't say that I've enjoyed every minute of it, because that's running and you get through what you can, whether it's my nosebleed tomorrow, running up hills, feeling a bit of pain when I'm running with Gary or whatnot. But on to tomorrow, where I'll be running another long run to start my Sunday off and just get it done. So just keep running. So that's that. 105 miles that I've completed. So quite a good week, an eventful week. I've been out and about, so I've been to Penistone, I've been to Royston, I've done sessions around on Broadway, I've included some strides, a lot of zone 2 running, which is obviously key. I haven't walked my heart rate monitor on every single run, mainly because it's inaccurate at times. It has its blips and its glitches and all that sort of stuff. I think I'm just due a new heart rate monitor personally, or it's run out of battery or something like that. But that is my 100 mile minimum week, and how it looks, and the double days, which is pretty much every day, and fitting it into my lifestyle. It is done around a working week, so I am at work, so it is done around a working week where I am actually working as well, believe it or not. In future weeks I'll be talking about my recovery, my strength and conditioning, and all the other stuff that gets tied into my running. So it isn't just about the running, even though practice makes perfect and you've got to do it to get good at it. And I'll be talking about the other stuff that I tie into it for my running as well, and to improve my running. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed Running Cooked, and that's episode 2, and next week we'll be on to episode 3.